When my friend messaged me that afternoon, asking if I could stop by his house because he wanted to show me something, I didn't think twice about it. His tone was casual, the kind that didn't hint at anything unusual. Still, as I walked toward his house later that evening, a faint uneasiness stirred in me. One of those quiet feelings you can't explain but can't fully ignore either. I told myself it was nothing. I had been feeling strangely disconnected lately from everything and everyone, even from the person waiting at home for me. Maybe that was why I didn't hesitate to say yes. When he opened the door, his face wasn't visible in the dim hallway light. Only the silhouette of his shoulders and the welcoming gesture of his hand appeared. That, in a way, matched the mood I carried. Everything in shadows, unclear but pulling me forward. His voice sounded warm, familiar grounding. I stepped inside. The house was calm, with that quiet hum of distant conversation somewhere inside. That's when I saw another figure standing near the living room doorway. Taller, broader, composed. His older brother. I had seen him a few times before, but this time something felt different, though I couldn't tell whether it was him or me who had changed. The light behind him caught only the curve of his jaw and the shape of his posture, not his expression. He greeted me politely, and I couldn't help noticing the confidence in his tone, something steady and unhurried, like he wasn't a man who ever felt out of place. That why friend nudged my arm lightly, motioning for me to follow him. Come, we need to show you something. The way he said, we sparked a slight jolt of curiosity, though I tried to hide it. The older brother walked with us without speaking, his footsteps slow and measured, and something about their quiet coordination made me unexpectedly aware of my own heartbeat. They led me to a separate room at the end of the hallway. I had never been inside it before. When the door opened, the soft glow of a small lamp washed over shelves filled with old boxes, books, and a few framed pictures turned face down, as if intentionally hiding whatever memories they held. The room felt personal, a place not usually shared with outsiders, and that alone deepened the tension curling in the my friend closed the door gently behind us. No faces were visible, only shapes and gestures softened by the golden light. The older brother leaned against the desk, arms crossed loosely, watching, not in a way that felt intimidating, but in a way that made me hyper-aware of every movement I made. We wanted to show you something, my friend repeated, picking up an old album from one of the shelves. But also, we just wanted time to talk. His voice trailed off like he wasn't sure how much to say or how much he should leave unsaid. I nodded, though I didn't fully understand what he meant. Maybe I didn't want to ask. Maybe I already sensed the truth beneath his vagueness, the quiet need, the unspoken closeness, the emotional territory we were stepping into without acknowledging it. The three of us stood close enough to feel each other's presence, close enough that silence didn't feel empty but heavy, full of possibilities and complications. My friend flipped through the album slowly, the pages rustling softly, their pictures out of focus in the camera of memory, but the proximity between us was what truly captured my attention. His shoulder brushed mine lightly, unintentionally perhaps, but the warmth lingered more than it should have. His older brother spoke for the first time. You don't seem yourself lately. His voice was low, almost careful. It startled me, not because of his words, but because he noticed, because he cared enough to say it, because someone had looked closely enough to see the strain I'd been hiding. I swallowed, unsure of how to respond. No one at home had asked me that in a long time. The truth of that realization hit with an uncomfortable clarity that I tried to steady myself, to remind myself of boundaries, of the commitment waiting outside this house. But the room's atmosphere pressed in gently, making it hard to separate comfort from danger. My friend set the album down, turning slightly toward me. We thought maybe you needed company, real company. The way he said it wasn't romantic, wasn't suggestive, just honest. And somehow that honesty was the very thing that made my chest tighten. Standing between the two of them, feeling their quiet concern, I became aware of something shifting inside me. Not something dramatic, but something subtle, warm, and dangerously comforting. Was the first moment I realized this night would not be as simple as I thought. The room felt even smaller after that moment, as if the air itself thickened with unspoken thoughts. I tried to focus on the old album, still lying open on the desk, but my mind kept drifting back to the older brother's words. "You don't seem yourself lately." How could such a simple observation unsettle me this much? Maybe because it had been so long since someone had looked at me closely enough to see the difference. Or maybe because I didn't want to admit just how much I needed someone to notice. And my friend moved closer, his movements slow, gentle, as if he didn't want to startle whatever fragile truth was floating between us. He picked up a small object from the shelf, an old ticket stub, worn from time, and handed it to me. Our fingers brushed lightly. It was nothing, just a moment of contact. Yet the softness of it sent an unexpected warmth rushing through me, a warmth that shouldn't have felt as comforting as it did. His older brother watched quietly, arms still resting across his chest. There was no judgment in his posture, only a calm attentiveness. He seemed to be studying me without intruding, reading the emotions I wasn't speaking aloud. I felt exposed in a way that wasn't uncomfortable, just unfamiliar. "We used to come here when things got too loud," my friend said, nodding toward the room around us. It was like a small escape. He paused, then added softly, "Everyone needs an escape sometimes." I looked down at the ticket stub, turning it between my fingers. An escape. The word hit harder than I expected. Maybe this room, this night, these two brothers, they were becoming an escape I didn't mean to find but somehow stumbled into anyway. The older brother uncrossed his arms and stepped forward just a little. "And maybe you just needed someone to listen," he said. His tone wasn't heavy or probing. It was simply kind. Too kind, maybe. The sort of warmth that made it far too easy to forget I already belonged somewhere else. I leaned back slightly against the desk, unsure of what to say. I could feel the weight of both their presences, not pressing against me, not pulling, just there, supportive, steady. And that steadiness felt dangerously like something I'd been missing. My friend lowered himself to sit on the edge of the small couch, leaving enough space beside him for me. When he glanced at me, he didn't have to say anything. The invitation was silent, gentle. I sat next to him, maintaining a gap between us, though the gap felt much smaller than it looked. His older brother remained standing, but his nearness created a small triangle of quiet tension. The kind that didn't need physical closeness to feel intimate. "Tell us what's going on," my friend murmured. "You don't have to hide it." Even though the room was dim, I could sense both pairs of eyes on me. I let out a slow breath, surprising myself with how much came out with it. Frustration, confusion, exhaustion. I hadn't planned on sharing anything personal tonight, yet the comfort of their attention loosened something inside me. "I don't know," I finally said. "I just feel distant from everything. From myself. From my relationship." The words slipped out, soft but heavy. Admitting them felt like crossing an invisible line. Neither of them spoke immediately. The silence that followed was thoughtful, warm, not uncomfortable. It felt like they were giving me space to breathe, to exist without pretending. My friend's hand rested near mine. Not touching, just close enough to be felt. His older brother sat down on the chair across from us, leaning forward slightly, elbows on his knees, studying me like he was trying to understand everything I wasn't saying. "Sometimes," the older brother said slowly, "people drift apart long before they realize it." He paused. "And sometimes you don't even notice how lonely you've become until someone asks how you are." The truth of it struck deep. Maybe too deep that my friend shifted closer, but still not touching. Only the warmth of his presence reached me. "You don't have to go through everything alone," he said, voice barely above a whisper. A quiet, fragile moment followed, like time held its breath. I didn't move away. I didn't speak. I just let their presence surround me. The gentle concern, the unspoken care, the emotional closeness that felt far too intimate that I knew, deep down, that allowing myself to feel comfort here, in this room, with these two brothers was already a kind of betrayal. My heart was drifting even if nothing physical was happening. The emotional pull was real, undeniable, and dangerously soothing. The older brother leaned back slightly, still watching me. "You're safe here," he said. Those words settled over me like a blanket, warm and disarming. And that was the moment I realized how far I'd stepped into something I never intended to start. For a long moment, none of us spoke. The room was too quiet, the kind of quiet that gently pulls at the inside of your chest and makes you confront things you've been trying to ignore. I felt the weight of their attention on me. Not heavy, not demanding, just present in a way that made it impossible to hide behind the usual excuses. I stare at my hands resting loosely on my lap, realizing how tightly I've been holding myself together these past weeks, maybe months, without even noticing that my friend shifted slightly beside me. The cushion dipped with the movement, not enough to touch, but enough for the warmth of his presence to reach me again. You always try to stay strong for everyone else, he said softly. But sometimes you need someone to be strong for you. His words landed deeper than either of us expected. I closed my eyes briefly, letting that truth pass through me. It felt both comforting and terrifying. Comforting because it was what I desperately needed. Terrifying because I wasn't sure who I was becoming by needing it. The older brother stood up from his chair and walked toward the opposite side of the room, not stepping too close this time. He leaned against the wall, arms folded loosely again, his posture quiet and thoughtful. "It's okay to feel lost," he said, "but don't let that feeling guide you somewhere you'll regret." Something in his tone, steady, calm, almost protective, brought a subtle sting behind my eyes. I blinked it away quickly, hoping they didn't notice, though I suspected they did. They seemed to notice everything tonight. "You're not doing anything wrong," my friend added gently. "You're just tired of carrying everything alone." But deep inside, I knew the truth was more complicated. I wasn't doing anything wrong yet, but the boundary between comfort and temptation was blurring, softening, becoming almost impossible to distinguish. And if I wasn't careful, comfort could turn into something else, something that might feel good in the moment but echo with guilt afterward. The room felt smaller again, but in a different way this time. Not tense, not charged, just intimate, honest human. I took a slow breath and finally found the courage to speak. "I don't know what I'm doing anymore," I admitted. "I don't want to hurt anyone. I don't want to betray anyone. But I don't feel like myself. And tonight, being here with both of you, it made me realize how lonely I've been." It was the closest I had come to confessing the emotional pull forming inside me. A pull I didn't fully understand, but couldn't pretend wasn't there. My friend lowered his gaze, nodding slowly. The older brother exhaled quietly, shifting his weight but remaining where he stood, giving me space. For the first time that night, I felt the room breathe with me instead of tightening around me. "You don't owe us anything," the older brother said after a moment. "But you owe yourself honesty." He wasn't scolding me. His voice held no disappointment, only clarity, the kind that gently but firmly places a mirror in your hands. My friend reached out, not to take my hand, but to rest his own against the cushion between us, close enough that it felt like reassurance without crossing a line. "We care about you. That's all," he whispered. "We don't want to make things harder." And strangely, that simple statement, care without demand, unlocked everything I had been avoiding. I stood up slowly, my legs stiff from sitting too long in tension. Both brothers watched me quietly. My friend rose too, as if ready to help if I stumbled. I didn't. I just took a steady breath and looked at the barely illuminated room, the shelves, the memories, the closeness we'd shared tonight. "This, whatever it is, it can't become something I regret," I said, my voice low but firm. They both understood. I could see it in the way their shoulders relaxed, in the way neither tried to stop me. The older brother gave a small, reassuring nod. "Then choose the version of yourself you want to live with tomorrow." My friend walked me to the door. We didn't hug. We didn't touch. He simply opened the door for me, the hallway light casting soft shadows across the floor. "If you ever need someone to talk to," he said, "we're here. But take care of your heart first." I stepped out into the cool night air, breathing deeply, feeling the weight in my chest loosen. Not gone, but clearer. I didn't have answers yet, but I had direction. When I finally reached home later that night, I paused before unlocking the door. I realized I needed to stop hiding from the conversations I had been avoiding. I needed to speak honestly to myself and to the person waiting inside, because infidelity doesn't always begin with actions. Sometimes it starts with silence. And I wasn't going to let tonight become a silence I regretted. The door clicked open softly, and for the first time in a long time, I stepped inside determined not to run from myself anymore.